In phonetics, vowel roundedness refers to the amount of rounding in the lips during the articulation of a vowel. It is labialization of a vowel. When pronouncing a rounded vowel, the lips form a circular opening, whereas unrounded vowels are pronounced with the lips relaxed. In most languages, front vowels tend to be unrounded, whereas back vowels tend to be rounded. But some languages, such as French and German, distinguish rounded and unrounded front vowels of the same height, whereas Vietnamese distinguishes rounded and unrounded back vowels of the same height. Allegano has only unrounded vowels. In the International Phonetic Alphabet Vowel Chart, rounded vowels are the ones that appear on the right in each pair of vowels. There are also diacritics, U+0339 combining right half ring below and U+031C combining left half ring below, to indicate greater and lesser degrees of rounding, respectively. These more and less rounded diacritics are sometimes also used with consonants to indicate degrees of labialization. Types of rounding. There are two types of vowel rounding: protrusion and compression. In protruded rounding, the corners of the mouth are drawn together and the lips protrude like a tube, with their inner surface visible. In compressed rounding, the corners of the mouth are drawn together, but the lips are also drawn together horizontally and do not protrude, with only their outer surface visible. That is, in protruded vowels the inner surfaces of the lips form the opening, whereas in compressed vowels it is the margins of the lips which form the opening. Catford observes that back and central rounded vowels, such as German O and U, are typically protruded, whereas front rounded vowels such as German O and Y are typically compressed. Back or central compressed vowels and front protruded vowels are uncommon, and a contrast between the two types has been found to be phonemic in only one instance. There are no dedicated IPA diacritics to represent the distinction, though the superscript IPA letter can be used for compression or for protrusion. Compressed vowels may be pronounced either with the corners of the mouth drawn in and so by some definitions rounded, or with the corners spread and by those same definitions unrounded. The distinction may be transcribed I versus UU. The distinction between protruded and compressed holds for the semivowels and as well as labialization. In Arkan, for example, the is compressed as a labio-palatalized consonants as in TWI and Adwuma work, whereas in simply labialized consonants are protruded. In Japanese the with is compressed rather than protruded, paralleling the Japanese U. The distinction applies marginally to other consonants. In Southern Teki, the sole language reported to have a phonemic per meter, the labiodental sound is accompanied by a strong protrusion of both lips, whereas the found is an allophone of per meter before FV. In languages such as English is not protruded, as the lip contacts the teeth along its upper or outer edge, and in at least one account of speech acquisition, a child's pronunciation of clown involves a lateral with the upper teeth contacting the upper outer edge of the lip, but in crown a non-lateral is pronounced with the teeth contacting the inner surface of the protruded lower lip. Some vowels transcribed with rounded IPA letters may not be rounded at all. An example is which in English has very little if any rounding of the lips. The throaty sound of English is instead accomplished with sulcalization, a furrowing of the back of the tongue also found in non-rhotic. It is possible to mimic the acoustic effect of rounded vowels by narrowing the cheeks, so-called cheek rounding, which is inherent in back protruded vowels. This technique is used by ventriloquists to mask the visible rounding of back vowels like. It is not clear if it is employed by languages with rounded vowels that do not utilize visible rounding. Roundedness and labialization. Protruded rounding is the vocalic equivalent of consonantal labialization. Thus, rounded vowels and labialized consonants affect each other through phonetic assimilation. Rounded vowels labialize consonants, and labialized consonants round vowels. In many languages such effects are minor phonetic detail, but in some cases they become significant. For example, in Mandarin Chinese, the vowel is pronounced after labial consonants, an allophonic effect salient enough to be encoded in pinyin transliteration, alveolar too many versus labial wave. In Vietnamese, the opposite assimilation takes place. Velar coders K and N are pronounced as labialized and, or even labial velar and, after the rounded vowels U and O. In the Northwest Caucasian languages of the Caucasus and the Sepik languages of Papua New Guinea, historically rounded vowels have become unrounded, with the rounding being taken up by the consonant, so that, for example, Sepik and a phonemically KWI and KWE. Similarly, Arabic and a phonemically KE and KA. A few ancient Indo-European languages are also noted for having labiovelar consonants, including Latin.